Hi everybody, welcome to Food Buddha. My name is Talia. Today I really just want to break down something that I feel is so important. So if you know me, if you've worked with me, I may have told you I'm constantly thinking of ways that I can transform your life. Not just you if you are a female business owner or if you struggled with an eating disorder, you, no matter who you are, male, female, young, elderly, whatever's going on, I really want to be able to always offer something that can truly change your life. So, this is one of the things that I think is the most important to really know and really let sink in to the way that you relate to the world around you and think about yourself. So we all have two voices in our head, many voices, but it usually boils down to two different sides. It's kind of like the devil and angel, but what I like to call it is your authentic self and your drill sergeant. The drill sergeant could also be the ego. The authentic self could also be the divine self or the highest self or the true you or whatever it is that you want to call it. But basically there's this highest good and there's this low vibration drill sergeant that we all have in our heads. And just to sort of break down the side that's the ego or the drill sergeant, what that generally is it's a voice that sounds like, it's almost like a wounded inner child, or it's like a hurt person who wants more things, wants more recognition. That's not fair. You did this to me. It's the victim. It's the part of us that wants to control things. It's the part of us that feels really uncomfortable or anxious when things don't go the way that we want. It's that side of us that thinks it knows best and really can dominate our thoughts if we let it, because it's the louder, it's the scarier. It will talk to you in ways of like, you're never gonna do that, or you think you could, but who are you to do that? Or, that's gonna be way too hard, there's no way you can. It's the voice that will cut you down when you're trying to do something good in your life. And so say somebody is eating well and exercising and, putting their health at the forefront. And then something happens where they maybe crave some food or they want a beer or whatever, and they do that. That may not be the drill sergeant or the ego. Their authentic self may want, chocolate cake or a glass of wine or whatever. But usually where the ego or the drill sergeant comes in that situation would be, oh, look at you, you screwed it up again. What's the point? You never can do this. You're not strong. So it's the ego that actually cuts us down for the choices that we make. It's also the ego that thinks that we have to live perfectly in order to advance, in order to be healthy. It's the part that will tell you have to be 100% healthy. Or if you had a piece of cake, you've screwed it up and there's no point now and you're never going to do it. That is the drill sergeant. That is the ego. So in other ways in life, aside from health, it can come up by the judgmental part of you that is either judging other people, gossiping, fearing that you're being judged, thinking you have to look a certain way or be a certain way in order to be good enough. That is also the ego or the drill sergeant. And it's all of this ego drill sergeant stuff. It's not like it's wrong and bad. You're not wrong or bad, but you've probably trained yourself to listen to it more than you listen to your highest self. So that's why I'm really painting a picture of what this drill sergeant is, what this ego is because it's not that it's bad and it's gonna get rid of it, but it's that you've probably trained yourself to listen to it in the forefront, which will drive you mad, because the ego might have you commit to a diet because you're not good enough, you're gross, you're this, you're that, all these horrible things. The ego will make you, you better get on this diet if you think that you're gonna lose any weight or whatever. And then it's the part that when you're on the diet says, you better not have that piece of cake, you better not. If you think you're gonna succeed, and it has that voice. And then if you do have, some chips or a glass of wine or whatever, it's the voice that again comes in and says, I told you, you can't do this, you're weak. So we can see how that voice actually starts to dominate our life in every way. It's like our decision making. And then in the process, we're being ruled by that voice. And then eventually when we screw up, or also known as learning and finding your way, but the ego looks at it like screwing up, like you can't do it. And so we learn to just listen to it all the time. And everything, especially with health, comes down to, oh, you should do this or you should not do that. But where is the room for what your highest self truly wants? So now to flip sides, now that you're getting an idea of what the ego or the drill sergeant sounds like in your head, it's condescending, it's rude, it's got a little bit of a rah tone. And with my clients, I get them to really identify that voice and sometimes even name it so that they can really hear it themselves. And it always varies a little bit. Sometimes it's a man, a woman, whatever, but it's always mean and it's always not in love. So to flip over to the side of love now, the authentic self. The authentic self is the self that just feels good. It's the one that wants to do whatever it is because it feels good. And there's times when you felt your authentic self. I'm sure it could be on a road trip and your hands out the window and you just have no care in the world, or you feel really in gratitude. You have this moment of being so overwhelmed with gratitude of where you live or your family or a gift someone gave you, or just being healthy, just being alive. That is your authentic self speaking. There's no should, there's no shouldn't, there's no harsh tones. It's just all love. The authentic self is the part of you that wants to give without receiving. It's the part of you that wants to serve without just waiting for your piece of it all. It's the part of yourself that wants to treat yourself really well because you're worth it. And sometimes that voice gets so buried by the ego that we don't even think we have this voice anymore. I had a beautiful soul reach out to me that I've known for a long time. She's never been my one-on-one client, but she's around my community and I've known her a long time. We've chatted. And she was saying, thank you for telling me and showing me that that voice is there. I don't even think I've listened to that voice in a long time, if ever. And I'm telling you, that highest self voice is there, even if you don't think that it is or you haven't had a relationship with it in a long time. It is there. It is the part of you that moves towards love. It's the part of you that if you just let go of all the rules and all of the crap that keeps you shackled, it's the part of you that will always steer you back to center, back to love. I know that sounds big and grand, but by starting to listen to this highest self, by really asking yourself with everyday things, what do I want to do today? What do I want to eat tonight? What gift do I want to buy them? What do I want to do for my birthday? Whatever these decisions are you might need to make, if you just take a minute, it helps if it's quiet, but if you can just take a minute and go inside and say, what do I need? That is when you invite the highest self forward, because the ego or the drill sergeant self would think, what should I do? Well, I should do this, or for dinner I should eat a salad, or I should do this, which has a totally different energy around it. You can even feel that watching this video, that the should side, say you're deciding what to do this weekend, you have a weekend alone. The drill sergeant side would say, well, you should clean the house and do this and visit your mom and do all that. Or you should do like a boot camp. You should do this. Well, what do you want to do? Your highest self may say, I want to sleep in and I want to go out for dinner by myself and I just want to go down to the ocean with my journal. See, if you've learned to follow that highest self so quickly, you are led to love, because that's what the highest self is there for. It is divine energy communicating with you. But when we learn to be run by our ego, our drill sergeant, all the things that we should and shouldn't do, we compare ourselves to others and then make up this thing about how we should be like them or we're not good enough. And then that starts to run our life, from the decisions we make to the way that we are bosses or run our companies, to the way we parent, to the kind of partner we are, husband, wife, the way that we interact with our coworkers. All of that is being run by whatever operating force that you're choosing. And the brilliant part is you may not be realizing you're choosing this. Actually, I pretty much promise you, you haven't realized where that your choices are coming from, especially if you feel stuck. If there's something in your life, if it's just life details or relationships or your health, and you feel really stuck, All that it is you've trained yourself to listen to that drill sergeant and listen to that ego more than you've trained yourself to listen to the authentic self, and maybe you didn't even know there was a choice. So blessings if that's the case, because now you do know. And feel free to ask me any questions or look into this yourself, but what I encourage you to do is just ask yourself, even say, highest self, what should I do here? And wait for an answer. It is so beautiful what happens when you actually call it forward. It's in there, but you've trained it to be very, very quiet. If you've been struggling, if you find yourself dealing with anxiety and stress and all sorts of stuff, it's because you just haven't trained that highest self to come forward. So what I invite you to do today is find an opportunity to call that highest self forward. Whether it's, what do I want to do for the next 10 minutes? What should I do with my weekend? What should I eat tonight? Where should I go to seek a new relationship or anything? Whatever it is, consult your highest self. And the second you hear that tone come in, like I outlined earlier, that evil sort of, not evil, but drill sergeant tone, the one that's saying you should do that because this is the way you have to do it. And if you don't, you're failing like you always do. When you start hearing that voice, know you've gone off track a little bit. Just seek to come back. That highest self is always there. And the more that you reach out to it and practice it, the closer it comes all the time. I've just written a course called Accessing Your Inner Guide that I'll write below if you want to just really look and see how you can get in touch with your highest self. But course or not, what you can do is you can ask it to come forward, because it will steer you towards health. I promise you. It'll steer you towards health and happiness and love. I hope you're going to have a great weekend. Love you.